for the Pat and Patti Show, starring Patti Smith and Pat Hughes.
Afraid I'm gonna have to buy a new lawnmower.
Well, you can tell that to the folks on the Pat and Patti Show because we're here and we're live and we're recording and that was what
I started
lawnmowers.
Go fund my new lawnmower.
Lawnmower man. That's what you need is a lot. You need a man. You need a lawnmower man.
I'm telling you, the only good thing about living in a condo is you have attractive young men out grooming your landscaping almost every day. It's a wonderful thing.
Well, it has been interesting. We took a week off.
Yes, we
obviously, I think I was a little bit beat up, and we almost did a little piece on that. But
oh yeah,
I
will beat him at some point.
Yes, I expect to. It won't be the first time. It won't be the last time. Anyway, there was a second intergovernmental agreement that came out and was a big part of the discussion here in at the commission meeting,
Right.
Or work session anyway. And what is that about?
Well, basically, it's just more political wrangling. Todd Pownell introduced this for discussion purposes only. He stated, he got it to the other Board of Commissioners late in the late evening the day before, so he knew that, they obviously weren't going to vote on it, and he went through an extenuating discussion about the procedures for, everybody reviewing this in the next month.
Must have been riveting.
It really was, and I guess he got some slack from trying to at the beginning of the year when they put an item on the agenda and without anybody else knowing about it. But in looking at the intergovernmental agreement, it basically they're trying to take control of the airport back away from the airport authority.
Excellent news.
Well, and they're also trying to limit in this intergovernmental agreement to it just being a general aviation airport. And
It's moot. I mean, really. We're in April, May, June. They've got to have a budget set up, passed, the whole bit. This is they're going to have the entire. For that to even have a chance. In other words, to have a contract, you have to have two entities that agree. And obviously, I know it. You put it up for discussion because there's no way in the world they could pass it tomorrow and it wouldn't make any bit of difference.
Because the airport authority is not going to
agree to that.
Ever agree to this. And
as it's constituted now, anyway.
But the real.
So
the real issue is
let's do something besides the budget and doing the business of the county.
Well, no.
They need to be doing the business of the county. They're basically, let's keep things stirred up because, I guess it means that everybody will be looking at what they're trying to do here, and so what can they do when they play with the budget? We're going to have I don't know.
Well, there's that, and then there was this whole discourse about who wrote this, and I found that to be kind of funny because it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black when David Austin is accusing Todd of getting, Delta's attorneys to write this when the original intergovernmental agreement was written by the bond attorney. And the other thing is, yes, he introduced this knowing fully well that the airport authority is not going to agree to this. So what's the real reason? Is it subterfuge? Is it to keep our eyes off of something else like you talked about it? Or
to do something besides what the job they were hired to do, which is take care of the budget.
What is their strategy? And that's the big question on everybody's mind. What is the purpose for this?
I don't know.
Well, if we knew who was putting the money behind this, we might be able to ask somebody that knew something.
Therein lies the problem.
And that's a huge issue because we had a bond attorney write the original IGA, and then supposedly somebody, another outside entity wrote this one, and the whole thing is government is supposed to be for the people, by the people, so that means that our elected officials should be introducing legislation that
Protects the people.
that they
Well-
have written in conjunction with maybe assistance from from their attorney. But when you've got legislation that you kind of wonder was written by a corporation and handed
listen,
over for them to pass,
Well,
it's
you know,
just,
and we can look at what is that group?
ALEC.
ALEC, okay?
I mean, all over the country.
Lobbyists write the laws.
Businesses, yes.
Lobbyists have been writing
But it
laws
shouldn't
for...
be.
Because
It
our
should be
elected
that way.
officials are too stupid to write a law.
No,
Here's
they're
the
too
thing.
busy raising money.
Well, there you go.
That's it's money in politics.
From the people
And
who are
they say,
writing the laws.
Yeah, I'll give you some money if you let me write this section of this law that I want
But
you
it's
to.
just sad.
turn
I
the
mean,
water
we
for me.
expect that at the federal
No,
level
it's-
and the state level, but when it gets down to local level, it's just like, the corporate takeover America is complete
Yeah,
when you've
yeah.
got this.
The corporate takeover America. Well, that is
It's nearly complete.
It is
Yeah.
here, and it's
It's here. It
irrefutable.
is definitely
It's
here.
irrefutable.
It's-
You can't,
yeah,
because
you-
we're seeing it locally here in.
And if
Paulding.
you don't understand that and you just think it's the evil liberals that are doing all this nasty stuff, then you clearly are just too stupid to understand in general. Because
call
Both
my
sides-
audience
but both-
stupid.
But both
if,
sides.
if they're smart enough to understand we're living in the middle of a plutocratic takeover
But it's
of
on
our
both,
nation.
But it's on both sides. It's Democrats. It's
Well, it's-
Republicans,
it's-
People on
it's-
both sides are too dumb to understand
Well, there are
what's
liberal
happening.
plutocrats and there are conservative plutocrats, and we happen to be an area that's dominated by conservative ones. But anyway,
Exactly my
Okay.
point.
Anyway, the airport authority and whatever also kind of went into another little bit of. Oh, we made the news. Hey, Paulding County was on the news. Channel 5,
Not in a good way.
I-team. What do you mean? We did the right thing. We had our sheriff say that he asked the DA to drop the charges because the
were
case involving the $500,000 of which somebody apparently wanted $38,000 of that Mike Jones went to the sheriff with. They got the wrong man.
Well, they were under the impression, and they had some faith, and that just wasn't enough.
I know.
to-
I loved what the spokesman for the sheriff's office said. Well, we just had we just assumed. What was
no, he
it?
said under the
Well-
impression.
We were
He said
under
that's
the
why.
impression
Well,
that we had the
He
right
had
man.
faith
He
that they
had
had
faith.
gotten the right
Hallelujah,
information.
Well,
brother!
what
But
about
unfortunately,
they
it was
went out
completely
there-
wrong.
They went out there and they got presumably they were in time at that point to get the information from the Dollar General store. I'm sure all those records are now gone of the purchase that occurred 5 hours previous.
Well, that's it. That's the part where they had faith that they were getting
The right stuff.
thing.
Right. Instead of getting facts, they just had faith.
They had faith,
Well, there you
and
go.
that's the reason they got the whole thing. They were looking for the phone, but they just saw him buying a card to put minutes on a phone, and they never bothered. It doesn't sound like
To connect those dots.
connect the two.
They just assumed that it was probably right, that they were probably seeing a crime.
And here's Patty. Here's something to think about. Does this happen all the time?
Yes,
Or is this
yes,
just
I say it does.
Or is this just a fluke?
No,
And that's
I'd say
really
this
scary
is-
because
This is business as usual, I would say.
and it's not good for Paulding County. It's
not good for America.
Well, we have a horrible reputation in
Yeah, I
the
know
metro
we
area with
do.
this whole this airport debacle, and then now we have this. I mean, between the
Hey, we educate
Thoughts
our
of-
kids.
I mean, it's just bad. It's just bad. I mean,
wave
we
the
look
flag.
like. Why would anybody want to open a business here? Why would anybody want to move? Move here when you have all of this going on, corruption, inequity.
Where you at? Approaching at the 27. Engage. Three Alpha, you are hitting the guns, the RPGs right now.
Welcome to your life.
How miserable it's going to be to live in Paulding County.
Well-
and people just need to plan on getting out.
Now, okay,
Getting out.
that,
You've got a small business.
Let me
you
guess,
can
you-
get out and
We will find you acting on your best behavior. Turn your back
worst form of government imaginable except for all the others. We're sitting here, we're talking about it. In other places, you wouldn't have the opportunity. This is, we can sit here and we can affect change. Things can change. Things will change. This is,
For the better, I hope.
well, they're going to change one way or another, but they're going to change. And,
But now they're on a downward trajectory to back.
well, that is, we're on a trend. It is not good, but hey.
Holding hands while the walls come tumbling down. When they do, I'll be right behind you. So
Greetings, citizens of the world. There's been a lot in the news lately, from threats of war to future space endeavors. Two very different ends of the spectrum with vastly different consequences for humanity. While politicians bicker over power plays by opposing nations here on Earth, we continue to face many threats from beyond this world. The unfortunate truth is that while our generation may survive the next 100 years, it's only a matter of time till humanity as a whole faces catastrophe on a global scale. We occupy one tiny world, around a single star out of billions, in a single galaxy out of trillions in the observable universe. That alone shows how fragile our species really is. Thus we come to a realization, and an inevitability: Earth cannot remain our only home forever. Some of the voyagers we set forth to the farthest reaches of the galaxy will lose contact with us, and we'll never hear from them again in our lifetime. Nevertheless, our legacy will live on through them as they colonize new worlds across the stars. While we can ensure the survival of humanity through migration and colonization, we can also help ensure the survival of Earth through unification. As we unite to explore other worlds, we'll in turn find ourselves securing our own. Earth will always be our home world, and as such it will always hold a special place in our hearts. While we don't know what the future might hold, we do know one thing for certain: it will be much brighter with humanity united. If we continue on our current course, our mutual destruction is ensured. So some may ask why we continue to have wars and fight amongst ourselves. Humans are influenced by their cultures and many other factors growing up. From what their parents believed, to what school and religion teaches them. With that in mind, it's no wonder with over 270 religions, 196 countries, and with modern society being derived from thousands of different cultures, that people tend to bump heads on worldly views. Nonetheless, those differences are what makes humanity so unique. Rather than being used to divide us, they are precisely what should be bringing us together. From art to food, and even technology, those differences in culture make humanity. And that's what should be celebrated. Every year we do share in a celebration. People from all over the world come together to celebrate the new year. We stand together and share in our cultures, and for one day we are united as a planet. Now we must channel that same energy and use it into coming together again, not for personal gain, not for the promise of money or fame, but to embark in the greatest journey humanity has ever made. It took just 12 years to go from launching the first artificial satellite, to landing humans on the moon and returning them back to Earth safely. In the 43 years since Apollo 17, humanity has never gone back, nor accomplished a greater manned mission. Not for a lack of money, nor a lack of technology, but because priorities changed and collectively humanity no longer has the drive to venture beyond Earth. With that being said, the direction and future of humanity itself is on the line, and our priorities must be clear. Due to the theory of special relativity, interstellar travel is possible within our lifetime, and entirely doable with technology that on a much smaller scale already exists today. Therefore the choice is now entirely up to you. Will we unite as a species to ensure the survival of the human race? and boldly explore the unknown? Or will we continue to fight each other and play Russian roulette until all the chambers are loaded? We are anonymous. We are legion. We can forgive, though we shall never forget. Expect us.
Anyway, we're posting a whole host of things. AP Minute, things of this nature, PBS, just a lot of different content, largely video, because that's where this world's going. And but we're just going to be it's something that I can do more effectively.
People need to know it. My God, everything in the world doesn't happen on Fox, for God's sake.
Well, that's true, and you know, and some of the stuff is very timely, like the guy on the little helicopter and whatever. But you know, there's
That guy.
yeah. Well, I mean, this stuff comes out pretty quickly. I mean, it's timely, and hopefully we'll provide some service there, and of course we'll have shows like the Pat and Patti Show. What do we need to talk about now? I mean, now that you've already decided that we need to go off and either run away or commit suicide or get beat up.
I just think that everybody has to, you know, decide for themselves if they agree what's going on with Paulding County or they don't agree with what's going on in Paulding County. And there's a certain level of toxicity that is kind of bleeding into you know, society here in Paulding County, and you know, you can just kind of look and see 3 to 5 years out that this is still going to be going on, and
it's going to get worse.
Yes, and nothing is going to change as far as the toxicity levels. We're still going to be at each other's throats, and I have to think that our taxes are going to go sky high because of the ongoing litigation and the cost with this airport.
The incompetence within the county and within, not all, I mean, some places I go in the county, when I go to buy my tag or pay my property taxes, that runs well. I mean, those departments run smoothly and seem effective and efficient. But when it's the sheriff's office is saying, oh, let's arrest this guy because, you know, we're pretty sure.
We were under the impression
that he committed a crime. I mean, you can't have that kind of crap going on.
No.
But here's something I want to talk about. One topic that came up.
We'll not do that.
I'll beat Pubby up for the readers, the ones that hate him so much.
Yeah, well, I feel that, again, I show myself as the voice of reason, moderation.
But the crazies don't think so.
Well, I know, and I'm under assault from all sorts.
But when you're way over here, somebody who would be considered in the middle anywhere else is considered way over there.
Yeah, I always say that when you hate somebody so much, it doesn't really say too much about the person you hate. What it says the most about is you.
And we're going to call that a good thought to end this show, because yes, it does. For the Pat and Patti Show, I'm Pat, Patti,
Dina.
Bye.
Bye.